Hey folks, Bell here. In the last video, we talked about imposter syndrome and how that can inhibit your ability to be successful, largely because you start doubting yourself and it puts those doubts into your mind, and then you start thinking you can't achieve things. This video, I'm going to do something a little bit different, but along those same lines. I'm going to tackle a topic that I had some struggles with early in my career, and it might help you out as well with yours. And that topic is, don't chase after something. About 20 years ago, I was in a position where I was chasing after income. I had a certain income level that I wanted, and I was chasing after that number. That was what I was focused on. And regardless of how hard I tried, I could only get about 60% there, 50 to 60% there. I could never break through and keep going higher. And so I said, that's it, I give up. I'm just going to focus on my work. And what happened? I started focusing on my work. I started getting really good at it. People started noticing my work. And then guess what showed up? The money. All of a sudden, because I was focusing on work and not focusing on an income goal, the money started showing up. And this is one of those where you might think, Mel, that sounds great. This is one of those where I basically doubled my income in about 5 years. Now, that may sound like a great thing. Well, Mel, you could have done that in one big shot. Maybe, but what I had happen was a very deliberate development of my career. And in doing this, I doubled my income over about 4 or 5 years. That means I basically got a 14 to 15% pay increase every year for 5 years. When was the last time you got a 14% pay increase in any year, much less getting it 4 or 5 years in a row? It doesn't happen. And that was one of the benefits I gained, not by chasing after the income, but focusing on the work. And so my encouragement for you is to focus on the work and let the income follow. Very similar along those lines, I was also focused on a certain title. This was one of those where I was coming out of university and I wanted that title. What I didn't realize is to get that title, I had to put in the work to get there. Again, I was putting the time in, and wasn't seeing results. When I started focusing on my work again, I started to achieve things. And then those opportunities started leading to team lead opportunities, manager opportunities, director opportunities. And my career continued to develop, and I was able to achieve that title role that I wanted. Not because I looked after the title and wanted the title. Don't get me wrong, I wanted the title, but it wasn't my focus. My focus was the work. And by focusing on the work, I was able to get the title. Now, the last one I want to share with you, this one is a little bit personal, so you guys get to see what goes on inside of Mel's life. About 8 years ago, went through a separation and divorce. I do not recommend it. It is not fun. But I ended up single. And being single, I was like, hey, I don't spend the rest of my life alone. I'm going to start dating. And so I went out with a couple of women, and it was okay. Then there was this lady that I happened to run into and started pursuing her, almost chasing her, if you will. A couple weeks after I started pursuing her, I ran into somebody else. And this was a very nice lady. She had her stuff together. And what I found was odd was I was chasing one, but this other lady just kept popping up. And I eventually gave up on chasing after the one. And in doing so, that freed me up for the one that had been there for several weeks, actually a couple of months at this point, just in my life. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, if you stop pursuing, whether it's an income, whether it's a title, or whether it's love, stop pursuing something, live your life, do it the work, and let it happen. Now, for those of you who saw that I put a little blurb in here that I have an announcement to make, here is my announcement. Starting next week, I will be doing leadership videos. Now, you may be thinking, but Mel, I enjoy these. That's okay, because I'm going to be doing these videos and the leadership videos. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. I wanted to make sure I had everything in place because it's a little hard to do these videos every week. But I want to make sure that I'm delivering value to everybody. I am passionate about people's success. I'm passionate about leadership. And so starting next week, you're going to start getting 2 videos a week from me, maybe more. There's more to come on that. Anyway, if you're enjoying these videos, share them with your friends, hit like because that affects some algorithm somewhere, and I'll catch you in the next video.